There's an influx of private equity coming into the roofing industry. They are extremely Google and SEO marketing heavy, which is almost created an impossible situation for a local company to compete. They'll spend $50 to $100,000 a month on Google. It's like, well, a local company's not going to spend that. After a storm, like online presence really means absolutely nothing. It 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 blows my mind how little it matters.
You're listening to the Roofing, Siding, and Painting Contractors Podcast. Real conversations with real contractors sharing the lessons, insights, and strategies that help you build a smarter, stronger business. Welcome back to the Roofing, Siding, and Painting Contractors Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Evan Griffiths of Canopy Exteriors. His team handles both retail and insurance roofing projects, and we'll be talking about what's working right now in sales, marketing, and operations, plus some great lessons learned along the way. Evan, thanks for being here. For those tuning in who might not know your story yet, where are you located? How'd you get started in roofing? And what led you to launch Canopy Exteriors?
Thanks for having me. So we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm here in my office here right in the middle of the city, but we generally service about an hour radius of the Charlotte metro area. I got into roofing and exterior work over 10 years ago. Actually came from the banking and insurance industry. And, after college, I did that for a while and I moved to Charlotte, wanted to change. So kind of got into the construction insurance world down here that was kind of my intro to it. Really enjoyed it. I wanted to give up the 9 to 5 in an office and I like talking to people and meeting people. So that's how I got started in the industry. Started as just bottom of the barrel greenhorn door knocking roofer and worked my way up into management and everything else. So the story of how we got here with Canopy, because we actually own two different companies, is kind of a long story. I won't dive into that. We have two companies, both roofing companies, but one specializes specifically with insurance claims, where my company on the Canopy side does a little bit of everything.
Okay, awesome. So you started out on the numbers side of things with insurance and then got into more of the trades. That's good. It's harder to learn, I feel, to learn the numbers later. Sounds like it got you a good start. So awesome. Today your business is a mix of retail and insurance. Was that always the goal or did that split evolve over time where you decided to add on that retail portion?
So when I started in the industry, it was 100% insurance work. And then as I grew into the industry and I learned more, branched off. I first started branching off into more retail work, which a lot of people overlook. They don't, being here in the Carolinas and we don't get big storms like they do in Texas. It's something that you really can't overlook. You have to look, you have to dive into it. So I started doing more retail work and then branching out, doing a lot more gutters, doing siding. And as I learned about those trades, we just kept expanding the company. So I would say right now we probably do about 60% insurance work. And that number goes up and down depending on the season, storm environment. Of course, if we have a fresh storm here, those numbers go up. If there hasn't been a storm in a while, those numbers go down. And then, around 40% the retail side of things, retail and repairs.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense about the storms. Let's shift into how you're generating that work. So if it isn't storm season and you're looking to get that mix of insurance or new retail, what's the number one marketing strategy that's really bringing you results right now?
Yeah, a lot of it is still door knocking and networking. And networking is something that I spend a lot of time doing, just between real estate professionals, insurance professionals, people in the community, events, things of that nature. Marketing is going through a lot of changes right now with your Google SEO, plus AI is coming into the picture hot and heavy. And that is kind of flipping traditional marketing from the internet perspective upside down, because those parameters are a lot different than what they were, let's say, for the last 5 or 10 years. So Personally, I'm learning a lot. I'm investing a lot of time in understanding AI, search engines, things like that, but we don't really dump a lot of time and money into it right now, because of how rapidly it's changing.
Right. So you find networking and the door knocking are just always effective. There's no guesswork involved, really. It's definitely good to just kind of have that as a.
Yeah, I mean, networking is the best. When you can have personal relationships or be referred by people, that is obviously the best. But those connections take a long time. It's not like you're going to walk into a real estate office and talk to a real estate agent and they're like, I'm so glad you're here. We've been waiting for a roofer to come and we trust you 100% and we want to give you a ton of leads on things we need help with. It doesn't work like that. So those relationships, over the last 10 years, I've spent a lot of time building those relationships where people will call me now and they're like, oh, so-and-so referred you and they said you're the guys, whatever you think is best. I know I see a lot of marketing ads and I know there's a lot of people pushing away from door knocking right now and saying, oh, that's the old way of the business. But still, at the end of the day, having that one-on-one connection with somebody, even if it's just stopping by to drop off a business card and say, hey, this is what we do. If you ever need anything in the future, here's my card. I'd love to help you. That one-on-one connection is going to make a big difference.
Yeah, it makes sense about building those relationships over time. And I guess you needed to start out just building those relationships. Have you found how many leads you're getting from referrals from customers or referrals from your network or from door knocking? Like, what's working the best for you?
For me, being in the business for over 10 years, my phone rings constantly for people that know me. And I still do, but I wouldn't have to door knock anymore if I didn't want to. But someone that's brand new in the industry, they don't have that luxury. So they have to go and start creating networks. And so it's one of the things that I teach my guys is that, hey, I know going out and knocking doors isn't your ideal day and not something that you want to do forever. But that's how you get started in the business. And you have to, start somewhere. And while you're doing that and you're generating leads, that's when you're also at the same time generating network connections.
Mm-hmm. Right, for sure. Well, that's great that you've developed that over time and now it's still paying dividends back for you. So when you are doing those insurance jobs, do any of them ever turn into retail jobs? Does anyone ever say, I need this roof done, but while you're here, maybe we also should get some other work done? Or do you guys have those conversations?
Absolutely. I've always done gutters, but when I've started to expand into more siding and windows, I did it just because I think that is another line of work that we could do and advertise for, and we have the crews to do it, so we should just do it. I didn't really think that it would be, I thought it would be completely separate from insurance work claims. I thought it was going to be like a completely different side of the business where it has turned into that, where, you get someone's roof approved and they're like, I've been kind of thinking about getting the siding done, or I need repairs to my siding, or you guys do gutters, right? Like, I know this is not part of the insurance claim, but I would like to get gutters done while we're here. I mean, I'm getting the roof for almost free. So because of the insurance claim, I don't mind spending more money. So it has helped. And also where we've had bad storms where like siding, gutters, and roofing has been affected, we've also gained a lot of clients because they're like, oh, you can handle everything. Because a lot of companies locally will just like, I could just do the roof. So when we talk to them, we're like, yeah, we could do the windows, we could do the siding, the gutters, the roofing. They're like, oh, you're a GC? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, great. One contractor. I don't have to worry about it. So that's done very well for us.
Yeah, that's great. That helps for sure that you can just take on bigger jobs and own it from the beginning to finish the entire project for that homeowner.
Absolutely.
So that's a good segue into your systems. How do you navigate your larger complex jobs? Do you guys have like good systems or maybe a good program or something that you guys use that works really well for you?
We use Company Cam a lot. We have our CRM, and I've also developed kind of systems and processes for what the guys need to give me to do it. So the production side of the business, which I handle directly, is what I'll kind of say is my baby. That's one thing that I'm really organized with and very particular about. The crews that we have working with us that we've worked with for years, we have a great relationship with them, and they know how I work and my expectations on everything. So that side of it, it's kind of hard to give you details on it, but it's kind of a well-oiled machine where from the project manager, the sales representative perspective, like, hey, if you guys give me all the pictures that I need and the details exactly, we can order projects, schedule products very efficiently and having that working relationship with our crews. We also have guys on our team that are bilingual, which definitely helps.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're further south. So I'm sure you've got homeowners that maybe they just speak Spanish. Does that happen a lot or?
Very few customers. I mean, it does happen. And like I said, we have some project managers that are bilingual, so that's fine. But we also, on our crews, every one of our crews has a crew leader that speaks English. So, it's no secret that the majority of roofers, siding crews, they're Hispanic people. So, when they don't speak any English and someone from our company isn't there, and they have questions or trying to get a car out and no one speaks English, that could be very frustrating. So I know with our crews that there's always somebody there that can help, that either, is bilingual, um, which also helps with us being organized and understanding what needs to get done on the job site. The systems that we use, like I said, there's a couple apps, but the main one's really Company Cam, Roofar, and of course Google Suite, which your Google Calendar, your Gmail, your Drive.
So how do you find and attract good people to your company? Do you find that you've got some people that have just been with you for a long time? And
so the production side, I've worked with the same team with a few small changes here and there. So we have a great relationship and we talk every day. Not that big of an issue. The sales side of it, every company is kind of structured differently. And that's why sometimes it's a little bit hard. You could have people that are like, oh, they're a project manager for a roofing company. That could mean a few different things depending on how the company is structured. That could be someone that just manages the construction side of it. That could be a sales rep that also manages the construction side of it. I can only speak how we do it. And we have like our sales representatives are also project managers.
Right. Okay. Do you guys have subcontractors?
Yeah. We've used the same subcontractors forever, but yeah, I mean, it has to be. That's pretty much, I can't speak for other parts of the country, but, or up in Canada, but I know at least in the Southeast, every company is set up with sub.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good though. So you've built those relationships with those subcontractors, you know which ones you trust and can call on when you need them.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. We can jump into any kind of lessons you guys have really learned. Is there something you'd go back and do differently in sales, marketing, or running your crews that maybe you tried, it didn't work out, and you've thought of a new way that worked better?
So it's a hard question to answer because I know and at the time that we're recording this, I know over the last year, the industry and as itself is down probably 40 or 50%. And there's a couple reasons for that. Marketing is getting flipped upside down completely. So what problems or lessons that we learned, like for example, I think if I would go back like 2 or 3 years, I could say, oh, I wish I handled marketing a little bit differently and took Google and SEO more seriously. But I also have friends in this industry that are heavy on that. and like it's worked well for them for years, but now what's going on, like they're like nothing is working. What worked years ago, just nothing is working. So the industry is getting flipped upside down. So it's kind of hard. And that there's also other things too. There's an influx of private equity coming into the roofing industry, um, which they are extremely Google and SEO marketing heavy, which is almost created an impossible situation for a local company to compete with. They'll spend $50 to $100,000 a month on Google. It's like, well, a local company's not going to spend that. You know what I mean? We were able to see that this change was coming and positioned ourselves in a situation where we could weather the storm to see how it plays out, which is a great situation to be in. Which I'm sure not all roofing companies could say that, but I think over the next 6, 12, 18 months, things are going to be very different of how the landscape of this industry looks.
So marketing is getting tricky with online SEO, that kind of thing. And I've seen that too. There all the old ways of writing blog posts and getting more into written content and being able to rank organically is completely changing. So especially with AI now changing the way people are searching for things, and they're not even maybe opening your blog post. They're just reading what ChatGPT has said is the answer. So that makes sense. That can get tricky. So it's great that you got those relationships with the networking, and even going back to door knocking. AI can't take that away, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of goes back to what I was saying before, though. Like everything is changing so fast, so rapidly that you got to kind of stick to what works and get back to basics a little bit to see. Otherwise, you're going to pull your hair out trying to chase it every week, every month.
Right. And do you typically do your own website, and you've done your own marketing, or have you hired other companies before?
So as I mentioned, we own two companies. One, the canopy side, we do it all in-house. I do it. And the other company, we hired a very expensive agency, and the results were identical.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's great that you did the same.
Yeah. What we concluded from that was that even if someone is an expert in that field, that the temperature or the climate of what we're dealing with marketing is very different, right? Whether you're doing a tremendous amount or you're doing really nothing in the traditional sense of Google and SEO, it kind of the result is the same. We also are in a market that's very saturated too. So, right. If we were in a market that wasn't as saturated, it would probably be a completely different story.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, trying to bid even on just roofing AdWords is quite expensive. I think it is pretty common that there's roofing, HVAC companies, and plumbers. I think they're one of the top ones where it's very expensive to pay for Google ads. For insurance, what's that process look like when there's, let's say, a big storm that comes out? What's that look like to get your jobs that way?
So it's 100%, when a storm hits, it's 100% door knocking, and it's 100% kind of who gets there first, unfortunately. And I think anybody that's worked storms before can relate to that, meaning that, whatever roofer shows up first will typically get the job. Now there is, a good portion of people that live in these neighborhoods that will actually do their research, but it's just kind of like, oh, this happened. Someone showed up. Nice guy. I think, okay, he said he can handle it. Let's rock and roll. So, when a fresh storm hits, which is frustrating for someone that takes a lot of pride in their process and truly helping people and their reviews. In the Carolinas here, the licensing requirements are very laxed, where I would say probably only 25% of roofing contractors in our area even hold licenses.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. a lot of people don't even know.
Hmm.
It's hard. It gets frustrating in a storm environment when you have all the licenses, all the insurances, you have a knowledgeable staff, a whole process, and then somebody that's working out of their garage takes a deal
Right. Because
that
they can
really
be
has
way
like no
cheaper.
business. Yeah, like will eat the deductible or just, has no business really being in business
Hmm.
because they maybe opened up a month ago. And not that there's anything wrong with starting your own company, but
Right.
you know,
They get in and get out, make the money.
yeah, when like, the average roofing company lasts maybe 24 months in the US,
Hmm.
that you almost feel bad because what will happen in a lot of these areas, and homeowners don't know, is that, 4 or 5 years down the road, they'll have a problem with their new roof, that company's out of business, and then they have to pay us to fix it when
Yeah. So do you find having that online reputation then when it does come down to like maybe a price bid war, are you able to show how you're different?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about insurance, like after a storm, it's unbelievable. Like after a storm, like online presence really means absolutely nothing. It 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 blows my mind how little it matters. And with a bidding war with insurance claims, there's really is no bidding war. It's when you get into the retail side of things, it matters a lot. If someone's writing a check for 15 or $20,000 out of their bank account, they're a lot more in tune with who's doing the work, what's the details of the work, what's their reputation, things of that nature. Especially, I think a lot of people don't understand, and we try to educate them about the licensing thing. That's a big deal. And people don't even think to ask. They just assume, oh, it's a company. Of course they have a license, but they don't.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's a key lesson learned is make sure if you have insurance that you point that out to the customer. That does set you apart from these other guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So we take a lot of pride in that, making sure that, everything is done the right way. How we install our roofs, the products that we use, the relationship with the manufacturer, everything is how, if I was hiring someone at my home to do a job because it's cheap, not because I like them, just quality.
Right. Yeah. You trust them. It's a big investment and you believe they're going to do the best work.
Yeah. And that we can confidently go to sleep at night being like, we gave them a great product at a great price, great service. And that I'm not, staying up at night, be like, well, I hope that flashing holds.
Right.
That, we don't spend the extra time, spend the extra money, do it right. And it's kind of now, if we get a warranty call, it's almost at the point like, huh, that's weird. I wonder what could have happened. That's not
Hmm.
normal. Rather than, man,
Right.
it's raining outside. I hope we don't have any warranty calls.
Right.
Very, very different mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Just nervous to answer the phone. So I think we kind of answered that question, what every homeowner should ask a roofing contractor before hiring them is, are you licensed? Sounds like that's a good question. What else would you recommend for a homeowner to do if they're looking to hire a roofer or a company that does siding? What's a piece of advice you would give them?
In my market, we always stress the license thing. Now, other markets, it's mandatory that you have to have a license. So that's not even a question. But one of the things is, are the estimates that you're getting, are they detailed? Do you know exactly what you're getting? Or does it say roof replacement, $10,000 and that's it? Right. Or does it break down the components that they're doing? Um, does the company have a physical office or are they operating out of someone's garage? It's a big difference. Um, how long have they been in business for? What do their online reviews look like? For me, how long they've been in business is a big deal because that'll usually tell you how financially stable the company is, which is a big deal because contractors have that issue. So if a company's been around for a year and a half, they may be a very good company, but who knows? You might be rolling the dice. Where if someone's been around for 15 years, you're like, okay, well, they know what they're doing. You know, they've made it this long.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good piece of advice for homeowners. Um, Great. Well, is there anything else that you would want to say to a contractor who's been around a couple years? What would be a good piece of advice for them if they want to stick around like you, if they want to become a 10-year company? It's a good piece of advice for them after they get through the first stage.
So I would tell them to focus on the craftsmanship, and always continue to learn and always be moving forward, seeing what's going on. So the fundamentals of the company, the base should be that the quality of workmanship. Generally, you're not cutting corners, you're not putting cheap products up. Uh, and invest in education, really know what you're doing. After being in this business for a couple of years, I decided to really take this industry seriously. And that's when I dove into a ton of education about it, as far as, okay, what could I learn? I have a ton of certifications for being on the roof, installers, and all of that helps me. So I guess that would be it, is focus on your output product and your education, and be careful how you spend your money, for sure.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you did $1 million in sales doesn't mean you have $1 million.
Right.
Which we see the jacked up pickup truck roofer a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm guilty. I drive a nice truck, but be careful, how you spend your money, and don't be afraid to invest, your money back into your company.
Right. Just always be ready for the long term. That's good advice, I think, for most areas in life, to be careful where you
Yeah.
spend your money.
Yeah.
So good advice for
Because
some.
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you go back, 3-4 years ago, even, during COVID times, this business was great. I mean, everyone was kind of printing money, and I think a lot of people thought that that would just continue. And people were starting companies and growing companies, and we just got to keep growing our team, and we're going to make more and more money. And then all of a sudden, things changed. Insurance changed. Insurance companies are denying 70% of claims now, and the business is just looks completely different. And there's a lot of people that may have made a lot of money, but they also spent a ton of money. And now they're in a situation where they're trying to figure out, how do they weather this storm?
Right.
So
Do they just have to close shop? And
I think we're going to see a lot of that over the next 18 months, fortunately. But you have to adapt and overcome regardless of the situation.
yeah. Well, thanks, Evan, for taking the time to share experience and insights today. Really appreciate your honesty and everything you've shared. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of the Roofing, Siding, and Painting Contractors Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review to help more contractors discover the show. This podcast is brought to you by RenoWorks, the visualization software that helps exterior contractors show homeowners what their new roof, siding, or paint will look like before the job even starts. You can learn more on our website at www.renoworks.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep growing your business.